my TNA Genesis 2010 pay-per-view prediction. The pay-per-view is live tonight, exclusively on pay-per-view. I gotta say there are a few things that are interesting on this pay-per-view. Now, we have seen the main event, AJ Styles versus Kurt Angle, and a lot of people have stated that they think that TNA pretty much gave away the main event on the January 4th edition of TNA Impact when TNA Impact was going against Monday Night Raw, which I kind of can see people's point of view there, why they think TNA gave away the pay-per-view main event, but I really think that even though as great as that match was and as good as a TV match that was, I think that was just a little taste of what we'll probably get at TNA Genesis. Now, the one thing I really kind of dislike about the match is not them having a match against each other again, because these two, AJ Styles and Kurt Angle, have great matches no matter how many times they take on each other, but they kind of make it in a sense where they're kind of making it so predictable of who's going to go over in the match, considering that the gimmick of is if Angle loses the match, Angle doesn't get a title shot against AJ Styles for the rest of 2010. What does that most likely mean? Angle is going to go over, which I kind of wish that wasn't there, and I wish, but the way they'll do the match, they'll probably book it in a way where it seems like either side can win, even though most people know what side is going to win that match. Now, most likely the pay-per-view will start off with the X Division Championship match. This will be Amazing Red defending his X Division Championship against a wrestler to be determined and to be announced at the pay-per-view. Now, a lot of people, I've kind of heard that some people are expecting it to be Jeff Hardy, which I think is a good chance of it being Jeff Hardy to taking on Amazing Red, because Jeff Hardy did get involved in kind of like the X Division after the Steel Asylum match on January 4th, and maybe since Jeff Hardy still got his court date on January 25th, maybe TNA doesn't want to push him too quick to the main event, just in case if he isn't able to really appear for TNA after January 25th due to being arrested or being in jail. So that might be the reason why TNA doesn't want to push the trigger and really do too much with Jeff Hardy quite yet. But whoever is taking on Amazing Red most likely probably will win the X Division Championship, which is the one thing, like, if you have it against Jeff Hardy, I think it'd be better if this match was just like Amazing Red versus, someone, and if this person defeats him or something like that, gets a number one contender shot, or it wasn't even for the title. It was just pretty much Amazing Red versus this person, just, pretty much a showcase match. I think that would work better, since booking it like a match like this, the person who's going to be taking them on, you kind of have to book them to win the match, unless you really want to have a huge upset and have Amazing Red defeat someone like Jeff Hardy, which I highly doubt something like that could happen. Or maybe you could do something, maybe surprise the fans and give them a star like someone from Japan that could take on Amazing Red, because Gabe Sapolsky did do the Evolve Wrestling promotion show last night, and with that, Kota Ibushi is in the United States, so that'd be someone I would love to see Amazing Red take on, is Kota Ibushi, or maybe someone from Dragon Gate or New Japan. That would be pretty good. Bring in like Prince Devitt or someone like that. I would like to see that a lot, but I think it's going to most likely be Jeff Hardy, or maybe it can be someone that's other than the big name debuting later on. It could possibly be someone like RVD. But the one thing is, if you do the RVD thing, you're going to have to make sure the other star is bigger than RVD, which I think whom I'm thinking is going to be the big star later in the evening. I think if you do RVD as this person, it's going to overshadow who your big star is later on in the evening of the pay-per-view. Now, the next matchup will be Daniels versus Morley, Sean Morley, Val Venus. Now, this is a match that shouldn't even have been on the pay-per-view, and they should not be sticking Christopher Daniels in a feud against Sean Morley, even though this is going to be only this probably be the one match they'll have against each other, and hopefully this is the last time we have to see Val Venus in TNA, because I don't want to see him in TNA at all. Now, if he wants to do something backstage, help talent backstage, or do something like that, I'm all fine for that. But as far as a wrestling personality, as far as an on-air character, I don't want to see it in TNA. And it's going to be terrible if Christopher Daniels loses this match to Sean Morley. I don't see that happen. I see Daniels going over and winning the match against Sean Morley. Now, the next matchup will be the first of the main two matches that I'm looking forward to the most. This will be Desmond Wolfe versus the Pope D'Angelo De Niro. Now, these two had a pretty good match on the January 4th edition of TNA Impact. Now, that was pretty much a squash match. The Pope went over him very quick. Hopefully, this match are given time. I'm hoping they'll at least get 15 to 20 minutes, maybe even more. Maybe more than 20 is kind of asked for a little too much, but at least 15 minutes. These two probably could have an incredible match and probably could be, next to the main event, the second best match of the night. And then the next matchup is a match that shouldn't really even been taking place on this pay-per-view. Well, this feud with Terror versus ODB, I'm just getting tired of seeing it. These two just put on the most generic women's matches against each other that are probably just equal to WWE Divas matches, and maybe even worse than some Divas matches, maybe even worse than some Alicia Fox matches or some other, untalented female competitors in WWE. Now, this match, Terra and ODB, I think they'll just have the title switch again. Terra will get the title back, and not only is this a match between these two again that no one cares about seeing, it has to be 2 out of 3 falls. So hopefully with that, this is very short, 10 to 12 minutes at best, because giving it 2 out of 3 falls, you don't want to make it be a 3 to 4 minute match and a pinfall happens every minute. If you want to do this match at least 10 minutes, but not too long that it just drags on and on. I wouldn't care if it's as short as possible, or if Terra just defeats ODB in 2 straight falls, or if it goes the other way. But I do see Terra regaining the Knockouts Championship. Hopefully this time around TNA will actually give her a decent title run and don't just have her lose the title the next month or next 2 to 3 weeks on TNA Impact before the next pay-per-view, because that's what they've done the last 2 times. Hopefully this time Terra will have a decent reign as Knockouts Champion. And I think the one thing that's kind of sucks that now that Kong and Hamada have the TNA Tag Team Women's Championships, that since both of them have that, that's kind of like Terra can't take on either of those because they got the championship, which is unfortunate because I think a Terra versus Hamada feud would be great, and Terra versus Kong would actually be pretty good. And I think that was the one thing that really hurt the feud against each other when they took on each other a couple months ago, that it served no purpose. It was no title on the line, really nothing on the line, nothing at stake at all. And I think if that was for the title, them two could have had a great women's feud for the TNA Knockouts Championship. But I do see Terra regain the Knockouts Championship. Like I said, hopefully this time she'll actually have a decent title run. Then the next matchup will be the British Invasion versus Hernandez and Matt Morgan. This is for the TNA World Heavyweight Tag Team Championships. And the way they've been building up Hernandez and Matt Morgan, it is looking like they possibly might win the TNA World Tag Team Championships, but I do not see that happening. I think they'll book it in a way where they're very close, and in the last second, British Invasion use some, shady heel tactics and retain the title some way or another. So, like I said, I see British Invasion retain the TNA World Tag Team Championships. Then the next matchup, now this match a lot of people aren't looking forward to, but some weird reason I'm actually thinking this match could possibly be at least decent or watchable. It's definitely interesting. I'll give TNA that, and that is the match with Abyss versus Bobby Lashley. Now Bobby Lashley is a heel now, and Abyss is always kind of like a tweener. But in this match he'll be pretty much a full face because Lashley's a heel now. And I'm kind of interested in this match. I think if you give these two about 7 to 8 minutes, they possibly could put on a pretty decent match. I'm not expecting anything great or anything, but I'm expecting at least maybe a watchable match. And maybe even better than what a lot of people are expecting. It could be one of those matches that could possibly be 2.5 stars or a little better. Because for some reason or another, these two, I think they could possibly, their styles could mix together so good that it actually could probably put on at least, like I said, a watchable match. Nothing spectacular. Don't expect that from that, and I'm not even expecting that, but I think it might be better than what some people are saying it could possibly be. Then the next matchup will be the other tag team match of the night. This will be Beer Money Incorporated versus the Outsiders, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. And pretty much in this match, since this is the comeback of Kevin Nash and Scott Hall teaming up, unfortunately they will defeat Beer Money, which is the thing that shouldn't happen. Even though I will say the whole Beer Money gimmick and the tag team is kind of, not as good as it once was, and the fans still react to it though. That's the one thing that I would say is going to hurt with Kevin Nash and Scott Hall defeating them on the pay-per-view tonight, because with them returning as a tag team, I highly doubt Kevin Nash and Scott Hall are going to be doing the jobs for this pay-per-view. I don't know what part of the pay-per-view is going to be where Hulk Hogan is going to be. I don't know if he's just going to do backstage stuff or he's going to come out here and do another promo, maybe introduce the the big star that's going to be debuting in TNA, which the way TNA is listed on their website, this will be the next part of the pay-per-view. Who's going to be TNA's next major acquisition? Who's their major new talent that TNA is going to be getting tonight? Now, the names that are going around for this that have been almost some of the people that are very good chances of happening, it's either going to be Ken Kennedy, it's either going to be Sid Vicious, it's either going to be RVD, or it's going to be Goldberg. Now, out of those, I would obviously want RVD. Now, it's the one person out of those I really want to see, but for some reason or another, I don't know if he's going to be coming to TNA or something, but I see this being that with Hogan there, don't be shocked if it's someone like Goldberg, which actually I would not hate it too much because Goldberg hasn't really been in the wrestling business in a couple years, and fans do like Goldberg, and he does have a pretty good name, but I think RVD, that would be the person that TNA really would wish they could get. And I highly doubt there'll be a huge surprise and someone's jumping from WWE to TNA. I don't think you'll be seeing anything like that, because I think something like that would have leaked by now. And like I said, the main people that people are rumored to be who this person could be. It could be either Sid Vicious, Ken Kennedy, RVD, or Goldberg. And out of those, I'm kind of either going with Goldberg or RVD to be the person debuting in TNA. And with Hogan, I'm kind of settling that it probably is going to be, I'm probably going with Goldberg as far as who I think that big person will be in TNA. Then the main event of the evening will be for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. This is Kurt Angle versus AJ Styles. Now, like I said, I don't have any problem with this match taking place again, but the problem is that I hate when wrestling promotions put this type of gimmick that they got attached to this match, because it's so predictable of who's going to go over. Even though Russo does like doing swerves and likes to swerve the fans and stuff, I don't think it's going to happen in this case, and that is the stipulation of this match. If Angle loses this match and isn't able to defeat AJ Styles for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, then as long as AJ is champion, Angle isn't going to be able to get a World Heavyweight title shot against AJ Styles. And with that, I do not see AJ Styles retain the title, which is unfortunate. But the one thing is, looking back, I wouldn't expect the TNA to actually give him a 4-month title run, so I'll be happy with that. They at least gave him a 4-month title run, and him and Angle is probably going to have another great match. They've never really disappointed at all, and I think this match is going to be easily better than their match on TNA Impact. I think what they gave us on Impact, as good and as great that was for a TV match, I think this match is going to be even better. This match I'm expecting at the least probably 4-1 for a 4.5 star match. That's how good this match possibly could be, if not even better, because these two obviously have good chemistry with each other and be a great match. And like I said, with the stipulation, it's pretty much predictable that Kurt Angle will go over and win the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Hopefully they don't do no shenanigans where Ric Flair gets involved in the main event or Hogan gets involved in the main event. Hopefully it's just a regular match against each other, and hopefully it doesn't end in some bullshit finish or something if AJ Styles retains. If he does retain, have him retain cleanly. If Angle wins, have him retain cleanly as well. It's so predictable of who's going to go over in the match, considering that the gimmick of is if Angle loses the match, Angle doesn't get a title shot against AJ Styles for the rest of 2010. And what does that most likely mean? Angle is going to go over, which I kind of wish that wasn't there. And I wish, but the way they'll do the match, they'll probably book it in a way where it seems like either side can win, even though most people know what side is going to win that match. Now, most likely, and maybe since Jeff Hardy still got his court date on January 25th, maybe TNA doesn't want to push him too quick to the main event, just in case if he isn't able to really appear for TNA after January 25th due to being arrested or being in jail. So that might be the reason why TNA doesn't want to push the trigger and really do too much with Jeff Hardy quite yet. But whoever is taking on Amazing Red, we will start off with the X Division Championship match. This will be Amazing Red defending his X Division Championship against a wrestler to be determined and to be announced at the pay-per-view. Now, a lot of people, I've kind of heard that some people are expecting it to be Jeff Hardy, which I think is a good chance of it being Jeff Hardy to taking on Amazing Red, because Jeff Hardy did get involved in kind of like the X Division after the Steel Asylum match on January 4th. Point of view there, why they think TNA gave away the pay-per-view main event, but I really think that even though as great as that match was and as good as a TV match that was, I think that was just a little taste of what we'll probably get at TNA Genesis. Now, the one thing I really kind of dislike about the match is not them having a match against each other again, because these two, AJ Styles and Kurt Angle, have great matches no matter how many times they take on each other, but they kind of make it in a sense where they're kind of making, this is my TNA Genesis 2010 pay-per-view prediction. The pay-per-view is live tonight exclusively on pay-per-view. I gotta say there are a few things that are interesting on this pay-per-view. Now, we have seen the main event, AJ Styles versus Kurt Angle, and a lot of people have stated that they think that TNA pretty much gave away the main event on the January 4th edition of TNA Impact when TNA Impact was going against Monday Night Raw, which I kind of can see people's point.